Good evening. Yes, it's dark because I'm about to catch a nighttime train. I'm outside Birmingham International Station to catch the Sleeper. Yes, for the first time in many years, a sleeper service, the Caledonian Sleeper, between London and Glasgow, Edinburgh and beyond, returns with train stopping at Birmingham International. So I'm catching the Caledonian Sleeper tonight, the Highlander service that starts at London Euston and splits at Edinburgh Waverley into 3 different services which go to Fort William, Inverness and Aberdeen. And I'll be going to Aberdeen. So you're probably aware that there's 2 sleeper services in Britain right now. There's the one that goes out west down to Cornwall, and this, the Caledonian, that runs 6 out of 7 nights a week going up to Scotland. But did you know that going back over the years, there's quite a history of other sleeper services in Britain? The concept of sleeper trains started on US railroads, and they had been running services for a few decades before the first ones on British Railways started in 1873. That's when both the North British Railway and the Caledonian Railway ran the first of purpose-built sleeper trains between London and Glasgow. Over the decades, sleeper trains have taken several forms, from dormitories to luxurious private cabins, with several of the major railway companies all running sleeper services. And it hit its peak in the 1970s, when British Rail was carrying around 800,000 sleeper passengers per year, over a variety of routes shown on this map, some which may come as a surprise to you. And there were named trains, such as the Night Scotsman and the Royal Highlander. And another thing which many people don't realise is that there's actually 2 sleeper services on the Caledonian. There's what they call the Lowlander, which is the service that goes to Glasgow and Edinburgh, and there's the Highlander, which splits into 3, and that's the service which goes to Fort William and Aberdeen and Inverness. So here's a rundown on exactly how that works. So there's 2 Caledonian sleeper services that run 6 nights a week. The Highlander leaves London at around 9:15 p.m, and this makes pickup stops at Crewe and Preston only, except now, brand new for January 2026, is the new pickup stop at Birmingham International. At Edinburgh, in the early hours of the morning, the train splits into 3, and one part goes to Fort William, one part to Inverness, and the other part to Aberdeen. And then there's the Lowlander service. That leaves London later at 11:45 p.m, and that's the service that runs to Glasgow and Edinburgh, splitting at Carstairs. And obviously, if we think about it, there are 2 sleeper trains working the same routes but in reverse, starting in Scotland and heading south and getting down to London in the early hours of the morning. Now, the Highlander train is 16 carriages long, and if you head to the club car, that's where they serve food and drink. What you may not realise is that there's actually 2 club cars on the train. It just depends where your destination is as to which one you sit in. Anyway, it's a whole carriage where you can sit back and indulge in food and drink prepared on board and served to you. Note though, if you're in one of the seated carriages that are on the train, you order from your seat by pressing a button, and then snacks and drinks are brought to you there.
We have the coach's number in here. So followed by the letter A, coach B, C, D, E, F, G. A is the seated coach, which one if they press the button, so we need to go there and check the call. And any call come from the room service, so there's a call button next to the window, like that call came.
So that's your colleague now doing it as a test?
As a test,
Go on, so if you answer it.
Yeah. Hello, good evening, how can I help? Yeah, is it warm water or you want the cold water or normal water, sir?
There's also an accessible area in the club car, which is great to see. And cabin-wise, well, standard cabins actually have interconnecting doors, so you can join cabins together if a family is travelling as a group. There's also club rooms which have ensuite showers, there's a few limited double rooms which you can book, and there's also large, spacious, accessible club rooms and accessible double rooms on board the train as well. Time to head down for my cabin. You actually get given a key card when you board, which allows you to lock and unlock your door as you wish. And inside you got your bed with the sink, but you can hang up your coat, set the lights and the temperatures to how you want it, and obviously use the USB sockets as well to charge your phone. Feels like there's a bit more space on the wide-angled lens. Top bunk, lower bunk, I'm in the room. Club room, which by the way, which has this shower here, we'll get to in a minute, but I do get to choose top bunk or lower bunk. The first thing you should do is use the pencil right there to fill in your breakfast card and hang that on the door handle outside, so you get breakfast in the morning. And yes, there is a toilet. There's also a shower on board the train. Shower complete, and normally at this point I'd get some sleep, except I stayed up organising my gear, as I was going to be awake for the moment in the early hours at Edinburgh where the train splits into 3. But first, let's explain how that works. On the Lowlander, that's the service to Glasgow and Edinburgh, it's quite straightforward. The 16-car train divides into two at Carstairs, and the Glasgow portion heads off first. And then a second locomotive is attached to the front of the rest of the train, and that's the half that then goes to Edinburgh. For the Highlander service, which I'm on, that splits at Edinburgh. The Inverness portion is usually the longest, and then the Fort William and Aberdeen sections are split, with two new locos attached to them before heading off to their respective destinations. And that's what I stayed up into the early hours for, to try and see. Morning. I'm a bit excited by this bit. It's very early in the morning. It's like 3, 4 something, and Edinburgh Waverley. And this is where the train splits into 3 different sections. So in a minute, I think the loco's going to come in, and another loco's going to come in there. Some shunting is going to take place. We'll just get a quick shot of that happening. What's happened is that normally the sleeper comes in on, if you don't know about the complicated platform arrangements at Edinburgh, it's kind of in a clock face, and normally they come in on 19 and 2 over there. We come in on 11 and 7, just because there's some engineering possession going on over there. But look, this is Coach G, the Fort William section, and it's been separated there because the Inverness portion is down there. And here I can hear, I heard it from a distance, the rattle of a 73. There's some more locos over there. This is where the loco shunting takes place. What Caledonian Sleeper have said to me, would I like to come back at some point and just do a video about doing a shift here at Edinburgh and the depot and watch all the drivers do their shunting back and forth? That would be excellent. But early in the morning, when you're asleep at Edinburgh, the train is splitting and shunting is taking place. And the locos for the Edinburgh Shuffle come from the nearby Craigentinny depot, driven by rail freight drivers. Caledonian Sleeper used the Class 92 electrics for the Glasgow and Edinburgh trains, and then Class 66 and 73 diesels for the unelectrified sections north of Edinburgh. Oh, and also that reminds me that a nice touch on their logo is that the stag's antlers actually represent the Highlander's 3 destinations and the Lowlander's 2 destinations. A nice touch that you may not have previously known. Whilst I was down checking out the Fort William section, the 66 and 73 double-headed turned up on my section, because I'm going to Aberdeen. The Aberdeen section out this way. The rattle of the locos. I love it. It's very surreal being at Edinburgh in the middle of the night. Back in the club car in the morning, it's time for some breakfast.
Thank you, bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's still dark outside as I'm having my delicious breakfast. Been checking our progress on the maps and real-time trains. As we pull into Dundee, it's reminded me of one of my favourite Caledonian Sleeper travel hacks. At the time that I went to Edinburgh by not getting the Lowlander, but by getting the Highlander, and I was a bit cheeky and I got the Highlander train up to Dundee, and then got out there at Dundee at around 6 in the morning, and then just turned around and got the first ScotRail service back down south to Edinburgh. So that is a thing which you can do. If you can't get on the Lowlander, you can just book a Highlander ticket and then just sort of reverse back. Just a little fun travel hack there as we pull into Dundee. It's strange that it's so dark still, because we're filming this in December. After Dundee, the Sleeper makes a few more additional stops to let passengers off. This is the same as well for the Inverness and Fort William portions, which also have several stops to set down passengers only. So with light starting to come up into the sky on a chilly morning, it was just time to use the shoe cleaner, which I'd never seen before, so I cleaned my shoes even though they didn't really need it. And then we arrived on time, as I say, to a very cold Aberdeen, so it was time to go warm myself up with another hot drink. And it's quite early and I've made it to Aberdeen. There's actually a lounge up here. If you've got a sleeper ticket, you can come into the lounge, which I didn't realise. So it's nice to find that. That is it. That is my night on the Caledonian Sleeper, and a little bit of history and the operations of it as well. The Caledonian Sleeper now stopping at Birmingham International from January the 15th. So my thanks to everyone at Cal Sleeper. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for watching. Links in the description. See you in the next video.